100 years ago, this month, that is in November 1918, Poland regained its independence after being partitioned for 123 years without there having been any truly independent Polish state between Russia in eastern and partly central Poland, Prussia and later the Second German Empire, mainly in northern and western Poland, and then the Austrian Empire and later Austria-Hungary in southern Poland. The first chief of state, or Naczelnik Państwa, was Marshal Józef Piłsudski, who then in December 1922 yielded power to President Gabriel Narutowicz, who sadly was assassinated just days into his presidential term. He was then replaced by President Stanisław Wojciechowicz, if I remember his name correctly, whom Piłsudski then overthrew by a military coup in May 1926. He then was the true political leader or an authoritarian dictator in Poland until his death in March 1935. His successors could not agree fully on the future course of Poland's domestic and especially foreign policies, although President Ignacy Mościcki was nominally the head of state, the most powerful politician in Poland until the official outbreak of the Second World War in September 1939, was Foreign Minister Józef Beck. And then, as we know, Germany occupied Western Poland, the Soviet Union occupied and annexed Eastern Poland. Poland was again partitioned, and many Poles died during the Second World War, especially Polish Jews, but even ethnic Poles as well. In 1945, Poland became a People's Republic, a communist regime. However, the communists did not take full control of Poland until the rigged parliamentary elections of January 1947. And then the so-called United Polish Workers' Party, which was dominated by the communists, then held, in practice, a one-party communist dictatorship, although there were some independents who were allowed to take seats in the Polish parliament, until in 1989, following negotiations and protests, demonstrations, and by the Solidarity Trade Union Alliance and a growing diplomatic pressure from many Western democracies, in 1989 partly free elections were held where the Solidarity Electoral Alliance did very well. It received almost all of the freely elected seats. In August 1989, one of its members, Mr. Tadeusz Mazowiecki, formed the first non-communist Polish government since 1939, if we don't count the Polish government in exile during the Second World War. On the other hand, General Wojciech Jaruzelski, who had been the mastermind behind the state of war that had been declared in Poland in December 1981 and had been only fully lifted in July 1983, became the Polish president. However, he then indicated in the autumn of 1989 that he would resign This paved the way for the presidential elections of December 1990, that the Solidarity trade union's leader, former electrician Mr. Lech Wałęsa, clearly won, receiving almost 3/4 of the votes compared to the Polish-Canadian businessman Stanisław Tymiński, whose brief presence on the Polish political scene was marked by his leadership of the controversial Partia X, or Party X. Wałęsa presided over various post-communist problems such as high unemployment and political instability. The Polish Parliament's lower house, the Sejm, had many parties from 1991 until 1993, when the electoral law was changed, so that with the exception of the ethnic minority parties, the parties need to get over 5% of the valid votes, and if they are grouped into electoral alliances, those electoral alliances need to get over 8% of the valid votes to be represented in the Sejm. In practice, only one ethnic minority party, the one representing Poland's German minority, and always elected from Upper Silesia or Silesia in southwestern Poland, has been able to gain a seat since the new electoral law was adopted in 1993. Poland has had its period of political instability. From 1993 to 1997, it was dominated by an alliance of the former communists called the United Left Alliance and the Polish People's Party, also known as the Polish Peasants' Party, originally an agrarian party. Then from 1997 to 2001, the Solidarity electoral action was in power, but then the focus shifted leftward again in 2001. Then from 2005 to 2007, the conservative, populist and softly Eurosceptic Law and Justice Party was in power on the parliamentary level. In 2007, the liberal conservative Civic Platform gained power and stayed in power until 2015, when the Law and Justice Party managed to win an absolute majority in both houses of the Polish parliament, and since then it has led a single-party minority government. Lech Wałęsa narrowly lost the 1995 Polish presidential elections to Aleksander Kwaśniewski, a former communist, who was easily re-elected in 2000 and then stepped down at the end of his second constitutionally allowed term in 2005. He was followed by President Lech Kaczynski, whose twin brother Jarosław Kaczynski was the Polish Prime Minister from 2005 to 2007. President Kaczynski, his wife, and over 90 other notable Polish political or social figures died in the tragic airplane crash of the Polish presidential aircraft near the Smolensk airport in April 2010. They were on their way to a ceremony commemorating the victims of the Katyn forest massacre near Smolensk in 1940, when over 20,000 Polish military officers, including hundreds of teachers, for example, were massacred by Soviet forces. Bronisław Komorowski, who was at the time serving as the Marshal or Speaker or Chairperson of the Sejm, and hence the acting President, won the 2010 Polish presidential elections, but unexpectedly lost the 2015 Polish presidential elections to the Law and Justice Party's candidate Andrzej Duda. In September or October 2019, Poland will hold another national parliamentary election, which the Law and Justice Party is favored to win. Since 2015, the upper house of the Polish parliament, the Senate, has been elected according to the British-style first-past-the-post system. The Sejm has 460 members, the Senate has only 100. The next presidential elections are scheduled to be held in May 2020.